Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to another StarCraft video. Now what I got for you today is a professional match of Protoss versus Terran. Spawning here in the bottom left hand corner of Lost and Found LE and playing with the blue Protoss probes. He's from France and he goes by the nickname of DNS. And his opponent spawning in the opposite corner of the map and playing with the red Terran SCVs, actually also from France. We are currently looking inside of the main base of MarineLord. So maybe a little bit of national pride on the line for this particular game as well. There's no denying that there's actually a lot of really strong StarCraft 2 professionals over in France. I mean, someone like Stefano immediately comes to mind. There's like Petit Drogo. There's Clem, of course, the 16-year-old Terran player. I'm a big fan of Clem. There's Denver. There's Shadone. There's like a whole bunch of really good players over in France. I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is indeed. But regardless, let us have a look at where this game will take us. Very standard openers though from both players here so far. I mean, I'd be very surprised if we see anything absolutely insane here in the early game. Even though the new patch is not that old just yet, players have started figuring out how to open up. Cyclones are seeing a little bit more play right now once again as well. Cyclones obviously are one of the main units that really did receive an overhaul that is critical in the early game of Protoss versus Terran. It went from being like a rapid-fire shooter, like an automated Gatling gun, straight towards like a really slow sniper rifle in a way. I mean, I guess it is really good at sniping in general, but it is finally starting to make its way into the meta. We'll see whether or not MarineLord is going to decide to go for some of those Cyclones here in just a little bit as well. DNS, though, did decide to send in that probe. Actually, it's actually rather annoying if you are the Terran player and you go for the CC on the low ground. Depends on what he wants to do with the Reaper. Ideally, you get rid of that probe, right? But if you don't see it, sometimes it can definitely become a bit of a nuisance. So there you go. DNS immediately does recognize the timing of when that Reaper should be out. And immediately he's going to start harassing the SCV there in the natural. Making that Reaper return all the way back home. It's making the walk of shame. And while eventually, obviously, that probe will go down, this does now allow DNS to continue the pressure with the Adept. And actually, I didn't notice that, but he did produce a Zealot here too. This is actually not very common. That Zealot can most definitely make its way across the map. The Reaper is currently occupied right now with the Adept. And that Zealot, if it can kill the SCV that's currently building the command center, that's actually really painful. Yeah, I think it's going to be able to do so, right? At this point, it's completely unscouted. There's no additional units coming up. We do see that tech lab coming, but the CC will now be delayed here. And this is a nice little advantage for DNS. He wanted to get that Zealot into the main as well. MarineLord did end up lifting the supply depot, of course. But this is one of those things that is just really frustrating to deal with if you are the Terran. It's not going to put you massively behind, but it gets to put the Protoss in charge of the early game. Eventually, though, the Zealot is most definitely going to be forced back home. Looks like another SCV, there we go, will be picked up as well. Excellent micro there by DNS. And as long as he saves his Adept, I am most definitely going to give the early game advantage right now to him. Ooh, and there we go. Adept now joined with a friend as well. Because everyone needs a little friend, like Bob Ross said, okay? Even trees. So Adepts do as well. Although that Zealot didn't get a friend. And it died. Coincidence? I think not. So we do now see that follow-up here for DNS. He's going to continue piling on the pressure. 3 gates with a Warp Prism is very, very common right now. Likely going to be some Stalker harass, and he's going to likely use that Warp Prism to essentially give all of his units blink, even without the blink research. As long as his control is good, it's gonna be fine. But we do now see that Cyclone transition here from MarineLord. So I like this quite a bit. So the Cyclone, it went from being that really rapid-fire shooter, like I mentioned, to something that shoots far, far slower, but deals a lot more damage with every single missile. On top of that, he's also getting the lock-on upgrade right now. It essentially makes the lock-on ability more powerful, and the way that lock-on works, you have to get rather close before you can lock on to a target, but at that point, when the target tries to run away, you can keep shooting missiles at it. Now, one last big change to the Cyclone as well is that it's far more vulnerable than it once was. It's not nearly as tanky. So it's a very microable unit. compared to like its old variant in particular. Well, here we go. He's got to be careful. You cannot lose that cyclone right now. Nice lock on though. You see the amount of damage it deals? It's very, very substantial. The prism now coming up as well, microing and picking up some of those weakened units. Looks like one of the adepts was picked off there as well. Nice control though so far here by MarineLord, trying to lock onto that war prism as well. A couple of the stalkers do take a lot of damage, and I think one of them there ended up dying as well. But I think there should be enough here, though, for MarineLord to hold on. Third cyclone and now also joining the fray. And while more stalkers were warped in, I feel like this is not going to be enough just yet. Great pickup micro, though, here by DNS. Really saving a lot of those... Oh, man. Really saving a lot of those stalkers is what I was saying right before he left. A couple of them all by themselves. The caster curse. You make a claim, you compliment a play, and immediately it goes backwards. Alrighty. So both players did now decide to go for their third base as well. DNS planted down the Nexus, of course, at the third base location. Command center going up right after that aggression got shut down as well. And now with the siege tanks here joining the fray, I think this is gonna look like a very normal game from here on out. We'll see where this is gonna go. Love the observer up above. This is actually a pretty difficult location to spot. And DNS is just simply going to follow that army around. I did hear an Immortal spawn just now, which of course are really, really good at dealing with both of those, you know, siege tank units, as well as, or these siege tank units, I suppose, and obviously the cyclones right here as well. Alrighty. So where is this going to go right now? I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I have seen some funny games where players decide to... What's going on over here? Did you see those two... Oh my god. Is that two cyclones making love? That was like the... You know, those two cyclones kissing for sure. You guys saw that, right? For some reason, that one is like Terran tracked all the way to the back. Anyways, I have seen some funny games where Protoss players really decide to get into like the Tempest play in the late game. Curious to see if that's gonna be something we will transition into as well. Tempest is another one of those units, together with the Cyclone, that's kind of like undiscovered at this point. It's just a matter of time before it will see a lot more play. But MarineLord is going to pile on the pressure right now, and we do see those Immortals trying to close the distance too. War Prism did come back home as well, which is really, really important. The War Prism, of course, is going to be able to, for example, help these Immortals close the distance towards that siege tank. A couple of Adepts now scouting ahead here, trying to figure out what the Terran player is doing. Obviously not going to commit, but it's mostly just there to keep track of where that Terran army is located. You can see a lot of respect, though, right, between these two players. I mean, DNS most definitely in a good position here. I would still favor him after the early game, but him losing quite a couple units there unnecessarily doesn't really allow it to, like, reflect it in the supply count just yet. If you have a look at the units lost, yeah, you can see, right? Even though the delay, obviously, on the CC will hurt the economy of Terran quite a bit, units lost-wise, it is most definitely in favor right now of the Terran player. Alright, so Marines, Siege Tanks, and Marauders. Medivacs now being added on here as well. Additional barracks are coming up. We'll have to keep an eye out on when the 6th and the 7th barracks will be added on as well. But this is really where the production for the Terrans start kicking in. He does also actually have the factory right now with a reactor on it. So likely going to be planning to switch soon in towards that Widow Mine play. Widow Mines do have a pretty... Yeah, there we go. They do have a pretty cool use, obviously, in this matchup. You can put them in all kinds of different locations. Sometimes just there to snipe the War Prism. Speaking of sniping War Prisms, there's already a Viking patrolling back and forth as well. But this is looking good. Now here, a big push is coming up. One of the Siege Tanks there, actually, caught completely off guard. And now with the Adepts, he may actually decide to commit here. That's a lot of Adepts. All of these Terran units are trying to retreat, and there we go. The Adepts do commit. Obviously, they did get themselves that Glaives upgrade as well a little while earlier. And the Immortals right now from the back are absolutely smashing away at so many of those units. MarineLord, though, still ahead as far as the supply count goes. He does get those Widow Mines in, which is actually really nice. Splash damage is super useful at this point in the game. And while DNS did decide to commit there, he is now once again forced to retreat and get on out of there. But while that's going on, he decided to plant down his 4th Nexus. He looked at the Terran army there and he decided, okay, this is likely not gonna move across the map for at least another little while. I love this as well, though. The double War Prism, one War Prism right here, trying to enter the main base, and then the other one is trying to sneak into the natural. Obviously, this is going to be really quite annoying, because this also means that you have to keep in mind where that main army of Protoss is currently located. While we obviously know that it all returned back towards the main base, or towards the third base, I guess, of the Protoss player. It's always a little bit risky to commit all of your army to trying to clean up one of these prisms. Is he gonna pull in the Viking? Interestingly enough, yeah. No, he needs to get rid of that prism, though. That prism cannot hang around over there. I guess he's also worried about the second prism on the left-hand side here. Couple Liberators are now being queued up, so MarineLord should be able to get rid of that prism there eventually. Alrighty. Let's have a look at the upgrades. So, upgrades right here are looking extremely good, actually, for DNS. Supply-wise, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble, but he's already getting himself 3-3. That's a very, very quick set of upgrades there. Whereas Terran is currently stuck on 1-1. He's not even started 2-2 yet, actually. That's really critical. Port Prism, by the way, does end up dying there, but he needs to start up 2-2 really quickly. If DNS is going to be at 3-3 before MarineLord even gets 2-2 started, that is going to be absolutely humongous. Like, upgrades are so critical. In particular on, like, fast attacking units, like, for example, Adepts. But obviously, all units benefit from that very, very easily. Big push out across the map right now, though. MarineLord is going to have to, slow push forward here. Using those Liberators right now to siege up and create that space that the Widow Mines as well as those siege tanks really, really need. This is going to be a big one, though. Prism, still warping in units. Actually, DNS decided to fly the one all the way inside of that main base as well. Keep in mind, though, the slow push is still happening. The Liberators are trying to move forward as well, but this is still a very, very large Protoss army. Looks like Stim will be activated. He's going to try and move forward here. Will he commit with the Shade here? No. No commitment with the Shade just yet. There's far too many Widow Mines, and I think that was the correct choice there for DNS. Solid force fields here coming down, actually sneaking around. Oh, man. A lot of those units as well. The Widow Mines, though, oh man, those Widow Mines are absolutely smashing a lot of those cheap Protoss units. But the Immortals and Archons still remain, and I think eventually the reinforcements here should be enough to clean that one up. But the question is, did he not lose a little too much there during that engagement? MarineLord still parading across the map with more and more units. He's now also sending all of those units across now that he knows that the War Prisms are gone, right? He just sniped 2 Prisms. It's very, very solid for him. He's getting himself the 4th command center into a planetary fortress, plus he already has the 4th CC done as well. DNS up with his back against the wall. If he loses this base, he's going to be in a terrible economic position. Still, though, that's a lot of Marines and a lot of Marauders. They are once again forced to push forward. That Immortal still holding strong. Immortal's already the backbone of this army. There's only 2 of them remaining right now. Liberators once again sieging up. I love this play here from MarineLord. Not trying to over siege there on those units, but trying to be very careful. Blink forward, though, right now from DNS. Trying to snipe all of those Liberators as well. Both of them do end up going down, and it does look like MarineLord will just barely be deflected. While that's all going on, though, of course, there's more aggression on the other side of the map. Great control here by MarineLord. He does manage to clean all of those units up as well. Whew. Oh, man, that was good. Let me take a sip of my water here. Both players pushing for the victory, right? Both players trying to close out the game continuously. It does look like it's MarineLord, though, who's trading effectively, right? Like, what you want to look at in these cases is the amount of minerals and gas lost here for both sides. So you can see, Terran is usually the one that trades quite efficiently here, but that is heavily in favor of Terran. Plus, Terran is mining happily off of 4 bases right now, too, getting himself even an additional orbital command right now to continue mining more and more with those juicy, juicy mules. And he's going to continue piling on the pressure. Now, I kind of wish he would have sniped the Nexus there, right? Sniping the Nexus would have been massive, but this army here, ugh. It's caught out in the middle of the map. I don't know if Terran wants to be here, man. This does not seem like a location you want to fight into. Charge continuously comes off cooldown. It deals a lot of damage. Couple of Stalkers now also blinking forward, trying to see if they can pick up maybe one of those weakened Medivacs. But now all of a sudden, it looks like the tables may very well be turned. Is there a Prism anywhere? No, there's no Prism out anymore. So I don't think Protoss can really continue with the pressure here for all too much longer. 5th Nexus now also being constructed. One Marauder immediately scouted that this is happening as well. Obviously, while Terran hasn't confirmed that there is a 4th base up, he knows that it should be there. And indeed, now the Marauder confirms the location while sacrificing its life for the Terran Dominion. Alrighty. Storm finally coming up. That's the argument I was just gonna make. There's not a lot of splash. I love the upgrades here for Protoss, right? He's even gonna go and get the shield upgrades right now. But there's not a lot of splash damage here for this Protoss player. So him now going up towards the Templar Archives and transitioning towards Storm can 100% change the tide of battle. As a matter of fact, as soon as Storm comes into play and I'm playing Terran, I just lose the game, man. Okay, it's not quite that extreme, but there's no denying that Storm is one of the best upgrades and one of the best spells in SC2 in general. Now I love this. While Terran is once again occupied on the other side of the map, we do see the Dark Templar moving in. MarineLord a little bit too good for that, obviously. But there's no denying that they can deal a lot of damage. Now, big push once again happening here. That's a very Stalker-heavy army. I don't know if I agree with that one. But obviously now with the amount of Storm here available, with the upgrades to 3-3, there's no denying that Protoss can deal a huge amount of damage. These Liberators, though, he's going to continue adding on more, right? That's 3 Liberators at once. They're soon going to have their ranged upgrades as well. Advanced Ballistics is what it's called, and basically it improves the range right here of those Liberator siege up circles substantially. There needs to be a counter for that right now. Yeah, okay, so we will see the Fleet Beacon as the addition right now. In the past, you would basically be able to go for Tempest and snipe those units relatively easily, but Tempests are very different. They're much less tanky right now, they don't have as much range, but they are far more mobile. Their movement speed is substantially better. I guess that might be the reason why DNS decides to go so very Stalker heavy. He needs to get rid of these Liberators one way or another, but committing into an army like that is very difficult to do. One Liberator right now on the other side of the map as well, trying to snipe some probes that were mining the 5th base too. Is he gonna move forward there? Okay, the Liberators are being picked up, but I don't know if that's really an engagement you want to take. Storm is gonna be needed here. Ooh. He needs to storm those Liberators if at all possible, but you can see the circles here, right? They're so far forward. At the same time, though, the Warp Prism here made its way towards the natural. Couple Zealots dealing a little bit of damage here, too. That's quite a lot of SCVs, though, that do end up going down. And actually, in total, that's a lot of worker kills here on both sides of the base. That's so sick. Alrighty. This Liberator will actually be cleaned up by a Phoenix of all units. There we go. I guess the Phoenix is a pretty good sniper. It's kind of like the Viking, right? We see that Viking over here. We see the Phoenix over here. They serve very similar roles, and they're in a very similar area as well. All right, so MarineLord is going to switch right now towards Mass Command Center. At this point in the game, he's only got 60 or so SCVs. Yeah, he's got exactly 60. But he can start dropping mules like no tomorrow. Tempests are coming up, by the way. They're going to be excellent when it comes to picking up these Liberators as well. Love the addition right now for the Ghost. The Ghost, of course, are going to be great for their EMPs in particular. EMPs are going to be able to pick up a lot of the energy outside or out of those High Templar. High Templar by far the biggest threat to this army. But right now, Terran has scouted the very first Tempest, and that's critical. Couple of depths right now, making their way towards the back. Small hit squad of Marines and Marauders, as well as a couple Medivacs, trying to snipe another one of those CCs. Or another one of those Nexus, rather. We will see more and more Tempest production here, though. And the Storms here, man, they will be able to deal a lot of damage. These Adepts, though, they have dealt the hurt, right? Yeah, look at the amount of workers that have gone down here. That's like another 10 or so. But here we go. Big engagement just about to be set up. Those liberation zones, though, absolutely providing the freedom that the Terran is looking for. Oh, man. Big storms or big EMPs as well. Gotta be careful. He's even gonna snipe one of the High Templar down as well. A couple High Templars still at full energy. So they are gonna have 2 storms available each. Liberators, though, once again trying to siege forward. Great EMPs, once again, removing the shields off of a lot of those Protoss units, as well as the Archons, obviously. And eventually, the 5th base of Protoss does fall. Very successful push there by MarineLord, but he does have to be careful. He is going to be forced to retreat on out of there. And now, with this Tempest production really ramping up, apparently MarineLord is feeling the heat, and he's going to start producing 9 Vikings at once. This is turning out to be a really sick game. This is starting to be a really, really close and well-fought game here. I mean, DNS was behind supply-wise for a little while. Right now, though, even though he did end up losing that Nexus, he got to chase down a lot of those valuable Terran units, and a lot of them did end up dying. So here we go, right? The Tempest hit squad. They're very good when it comes to killing those siege-top units. They're not very mobile, but he has to be careful. You cannot overextend. You can see the range, right? It's not nearly as impressive as it once were, or as it once was, rather. Liberators, not quite as good as Valkyries when it comes to anti-air. but they do look very cool when they fight, in the air in particular. But still, this is going to be an all-out Terran air army here in just a little bit. Look at the production right now. Both players really committing heavily to those flying units. Great pickups right there, though. Once again, another one of those High Templar does go down. Storm is still available, but the Liberation Zones, man. Those Liberation Zones certainly are going to force this Protoss army back here. It almost looked as if DNS wanted to blink forward. That would have been a big mistake. Blinking forward into that many Liberators. It's actually not even that many anymore, right? How many are there? 6 right now. Oh, man. One cheeky DT. Making its way through the Terran army there, and it will be able to pick up a couple more worker kills as well. Still though, MarineLord, he's been happily macroing up more and more CCs. Another one of those dropships will now start unloading here at the 5th Nexus location of DNS, and this is where Protoss gets in trouble. Right? 5 bases is pretty easy to take on this map, but where are you going to take your 6th? Apparently in the case of DNS, he's going to do so in the top left-hand corner. But it's a difficult decision to get into. Now, this is also so annoying, right? It requires a lot of actions to deal with this kind of stuff. The one photon cannon there will start shooting away at some of those units as well, but, you know, the Zealots and the Dark Templar, they can't really do very much. Alrighty. Now, this could be awkward. Protoss is still out in the middle of the map. Terran is now currently moving across. Is he going to commit to defending the 5th base? That's going to be a very long walk in order to do so. Looks like he did force the liftoff right there on that command center at the 6th base location here of the Terran as well. The Nexus will end up going down, and it looks like DNS is actually going to commit to the counterattack rather than fighting this army. He could obviously still decide to do a strategic recall, but that circle is much smaller right now, so he can't get his full army back into it. The Planetary Fortress is going to be able to deal a huge amount of damage as well, but Protoss is going to commit. Another one of those Nexus already ended up falling, though. MarineLord is going to continue putting on the pressure, trying to snipe as many bases as possible, but the same thing right now is happening here for DNS. Blinking forward with all of those Stalkers. We have a base race on our hand. Another one of those command centers will most definitely end up falling. Keep in mind, if you get on top of a Terran production, that's where they are most vulnerable, and that's exactly where DNS is blinking into right now. That's still a lot of Protoss army remaining, but at the same time, he's losing a lot of his bases too. Another Nexus falls. The one in the natural will soon be picked up right here as well. I love this. DNS already preparing for it, going for the Disruptor balls. Disruptors, of course, one of the most micro-ball units. At the same time, though, one Hero Marine made its way towards the top left-hand corner. It's going to try and see if it can deal some damage there. Big Storm is going down inside of the main base of the Terran, but eventually all of these reinforcements will be picked up, and MarineLord is forced to lift up and get on out of there. The Nexus in the top left-hand corner will now most definitely be met with its demise as well. And this, right now, is a difficult situation to judge. So there's no more mining here for Protoss. Like, he was expecting Terran to move up to the ramp, but Protoss never actually got the chance to use those Disruptors. I don't think they're spotted right now, which is really nice, but Terran still has a lot of those flying CCs, plus the mining base here on the right-hand side. There's only a single probe now remaining. It's in the top left corner, hiding for its life, hoping that these Marines, as well as that Marauder, or the Marine and the Marauder, are merciful. Terran now trying to chase down these Immortals as well, the Disruptors joining up with the majority of that army too. There's not a lot of Storm anymore, but there's no denying that these Disruptors can 100% change the tide of battle. Big blink forward there, trying to pick up as many of those Liberators as possible. Looks like every single last one of them will end up going down, and that means that these Vikings are pretty much useless, right? These Vikings were there to guard for the or for the Liberators, rather, and they are no longer going to be needed in that regard. Still, the Planetary Fortress, though, yeah, that's going to be a little bit too difficult to push into right now. It's a difficult decision for DNS to make. Keep in mind, right, there's no mining anymore, and it looks like the one probe there ended up dying as well. One of those, yeah, the Marine actually has a kill. So one of those does have a kill. Ooh, big Disruptor hit there against those landed Vikings. Landed Vikings actually do deal bonus damage against those Stalkers, but Stalkers still very, very strong. You can see, though, they're not to be underestimated, but they're not quite Goliaths. They want to be, but they're not. And another CC will be forced up. So DNS is 100% all in here. This is the army that he's got. These are the units he's got dealt, okay? That command center will most definitely fall, but there's already a couple more here ready to take its place. Does he know about the fact that there's another mining? Yeah, he does, right? He does know that there's more CCs on the right-hand side. MarineLord now desperately trying to add on some more barracks. Keep in mind, he lost a lot of his production, so his army right now is very, very small. I mean, it's only like 2 Liberators and a couple Marines and a Dream, I guess. Still though, how are you gonna fight this, right? DNS has no income. This is the army that he's got, and he has no counter right now for the Liberators, right? I mean, he's got 2 Stalkers and a nice couple of Archons. But, like, how are you ever gonna face that? This is such a sick position. I love the addition here of the Banshee as well from MarineLord. That's so clever, because he knows there's not gonna be a lot of production anymore. Now, he's scouting around. Keep in mind, we have full information. He's scouting around, trying to figure out if there is still a mining base here for the Protoss anywhere. That Banshee, though, up in the air. Oh my god, it's even got Cloak. It's gonna start picking up those Disruptors. And since there is no energy, or rather no detection here for DNS, he cannot stop this. These Banshees are gonna maybe win him the game. I mean, yeah, well, not that one. That one's out of energy, but these Banshees... yeah, no, there's no way, right? How is he gonna fight this? Sick play by MarineLord, though, predicting that this is where the situation would bring him. Right now, he's also confirmed that there is no more mining here for the Protoss player. Last-ditch effort from DNS. He's gonna try and get the Archons underneath the Liberators, but MarineLord is the one who obtains the victory. That was a really cool match. That was really cool. I hope you enjoyed watching this game. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Of course, a special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys for making this channel possible. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile. And I'll see you once more in the next one.